It is the Jim and Terry Show, only it's the Terry without the Jim Show today. We could not meet this week, so here are a few interim, temporary placement holders type of podcasts for you. Coming today, Trump tries to get Canada to bend their knees and deference to the orange Jesus in the South. What happened? We had a three-day reprisal, a three-day reprieve, rather, a three-day gift from the orange Jesus who said, we're going to give us time to work out that deal before the 50% slap on everything tariff comes into effect. Whoa, scary, boys and girls. 50%. The whole purpose of that tactic is to simply terrorize Canadians. And Mark Carney has done his best despite what some people, here's a nod to stay spiritual, believe about Carney and globalists and the economy and the World Economic Forum and Davos and all kinds of things, ne'er-do-well, and believe that Pierre Poilievre is the man for all seasons who could do it for Canada. Really? You need to listen to the words each leader speaks to hold that view. And so what Carney did was a back and forth late night. This is according to a source in Substack. Dean Blundell, if you haven't listened to him, that's an interesting podcast that he has. And I read his Substacks quite often. So the point was that Wednesday morning of this week, the Jameson Greer, the U.S. representative in this Kuzma negotiation, told reporters that the administration was confident that they'd reached an agreement with Canada. However, there was no agreement. There was a framework. There's a framework of an agreement. It's the typical Trump says whatever he wants to say on Truth Social, broadcasts it, and the stock markets go up, the stock markets go down in light of what he says. And it's just a dog's breakfast of foreign policy that should not be allowed to be done by any sitting president, by any administrator. But here we are. So there was no agreement. There was the framework, but the framework had sizable holes in it, asks from the American. That means the things that they wanted on the table included our dairy, included still taking off Canada's retaliatory tariffs. Boy, say that one 3 times quickly and your tongue will be in a knot. On U.S. autos, but that wasn't the whole. The whole of the thing is that Trump did not intend, and I think that's evident by the timelines and by the press releases and by the interviews on Fox and Friends, the interviews on OAN, Newsmax, and all the far-right media. Well, even in Canada, the media has been pretty well looking at it from an American point of view and not from a Canadian sovereignty point of view, which is don't give away the farm. And so the pressure came on, and Prime Minister Carney met with the premiers and asked them, could you please put U.S. booze back on the shelf? And you know how that's a sticky point, especially with Wab Kinew. No Kuzma, no boozma, said Wab Kinew. I like that expression. So Canadians, I think, are by and large sick of the United States, sick of their willingness to let the orange Jesus stay in power without removing him. Now, I understand there's 13 articles of impeachment, I think the most leveled for any president, but, they're not going to go anywhere unless there's a blue wave in November. So what's going on? Well, the people who are in the Trump administration are beholden to Trump. They must toe the Trump line, not the party line. There is no GOP anymore, just like there is no Conservative Party in Canada. There's simply those who use that to promote populism, which is a dangerous political brand to start wagging around. It ends up in things like F. Trudeau and F. Carney and all this kind of vitriol for no reason. I had an interesting exchange of statistics with one of our viewers, and they submitted a whole bunch of stuff from the Fraser Institute. The Fraser Institute, for those of you who are not familiar, is a right-wing, not a propaganda thing, but definitely it skews the data and provides no context. It's just the data. So if the graph's trending down, they will make it say whatever they want it to say. If the graph's trending up, it'll mean whatever. They have a way of putting their conservative spin on it. This is the same as Polyev. I've always said, gee, can we not measure Canadian politics the same way the Americans do? There's a chart that shows how many things that Trump promised he actually kept, and it's sort of 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Even the one big bill has problems in it. And how many times GOP voted in any direction other than to kiss Trump's rear end? And the answer is 0 again, 0 times. So Trump is the party is him. L'état c'est moi, said Louis XIV. The state is me, and that's what Trump is doing. He is the state. He is the golden child. And remember, Louis XIV really was the sun god, sun king, if you read back the history of that period of time. So, yeah, the French thought they could do no wrong, and they were civilizations. They were the gift to civilization, to humanity, Louis XIV. Trump thinks and believes the same thing. So he ordered this thing because he ordered the free trade to be scubbarded because although it was his trade deal, his Kuzma, the best deal ever. Yeah, it was the deal that wasn't good enough because it didn't line his pockets or his family's good enough. And that's why we're at where we're at. There is no agreement. There was no negotiation possible. And I think Wab Kinew, again, Premier of Manitoba, said it well when he said you cannot make a deal with a madman. And that's true. Trump, we had a podcast a couple of sessions ago with Jim, and the title was, when is the U.S. going to stop pretending that its president is not a nuts or that everything is normal? It's not normal. It's very far from normal. The aircraft carrier Lincoln is on its way back after an arduous 9 months at sea, no supplies. It's happening. Things are not good in the state of the U.S. Navy, but you don't see it reported. Just like you will not see this deal, no deal, back and forth at the 11th hour when Greer was talking. Wednesday morning, he's confident. 11 o'clock at night, he's not. So what exactly happened? 50% is on as I write this thing or as I record this podcast, and this is Saturday morning, so it's still on. Notice the things that they didn't want negotiated. They wanted these things left out. Oh, we're okay with all our energy. We're okay with potash. We're okay with critical minerals. Everything America can't survive a winter without got a hall pass. Everything that puts Canadian kids, dads, out of work in Hamilton or Trois-Rivières or Prince George. This is the kind of language. Trump's tariffs will hit everybody in Canada. So this is a problem. Tuesday night, less than 2 hours before his own deadline was set to kick in, Trump went on Truth Social and announced in capital letters, all caps, whoa, scary boys and girls, that Canada and the U.S. have a deal. That was Tuesday night. Been waiting for the finalization of documents or pending the final documents to arrive. He pushed the tariffs away for 3 days, gave you a reprieve. He said Keystone XL pipeline. Do you remember that pipeline the Biden terminated? It will be woken from the grave, something like that. He put out a meme, the AI-generated sloppy goop stuff, which shows the pipeline coming out of the ground or something, or going into the ground, whichever it is. So this is the President of the United States and how he negotiates international trade agreements on Truth Social. This should not be a thing. He should be held accountable for this. It impacts markets. It impacts the uncertainty of the times and never results in anything good. We have a picture from August 20th of our own trade negotiators. So shaking hands, Greer and LeBlanc shaking hands, August 20th. But there was no agreement that followed that handshaking. There's a framework. It had lots of holes. It didn't do what anybody wanted to do. And the asks kept on getting bigger. So what Washington wanted to do, kill our retaliatory tariffs on American cars, change how dairy licenses are issued on supply management. They wanted every province to put booze back on the shelf. And they even threw on the table, according to the I think it was the Globe and Mail who reported this. They dragged the F-35 purchase and the Gold Dome missile defense and critical minerals and oil exports onto the table under the banner of National Security Partnership. So the deal was hand over everything and stop complaining and take off your retaliatory tariffs because nobody messes with the U.S. of A. Well, good faith does not exist in the United States government in any way, shape, or form. Trump doesn't want a deal. He wants Canadians on their knees, and that's what this whole thing is about. Don't be deceived. It is not about equity. It is not about fair trade or free trade. Remember Ronald Reagan? Remember Doug Ford's ad during the Blue Jays season closing last year? Yeah.
It's complicated.
Sure is.
This relationship I have with
bye-bye for now.
my morning coffee. It's from the way that I brew